Thanks, KK. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining the Microsoft 365 virtual marathon. Really glad to have all of you guys here. I know there's a lot of content going on. Really glad that you chose to stop by. Today, we're going to be talking about Teams. I know a lot of people are switching to Teams really fast, and it's a brand new thing for some people, and there's a lot to it. I get asked a lot of questions about, the basics of Teams, and so I actually put together this Teams 101 primer, basically just to walk through the basics of Teams. So I'm going to kind of flip through some stuff. I'll show you some basics, and then I'll give you a demo of some of the things that you can do in Teams. So first, I want to point out SharePoint conference next year is planned to be the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference. So hopefully, if everything goes well, we'll all be getting together in Vegas next year and we can catch up and talk about things. Thanks to all of our sponsors for everything that they do for us to make sure that we can put these things on. And here's a little bit about me. So this is what I look like. And you can always get a hold of me at sweaver@smarter-consulting.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Sharon E. Weaver. Just make sure you get the E in there. It's the same as my blog, so it's super easy to remember, just www.sharoneweaver.com. And I actually own my own IT consulting company. So I own a consulting company called Smarter Consulting. I also teach for some local colleges, and I teach Microsoft stuff. I teach business analysis stuff. I do teach some Six Sigma leadership as well. I have been in the development game for a long time. This has basically been my whole career. So I've spent over 20 years working with software and applications. I've made it, I've managed it, I've done it all. About 15 or so years ago, I got introduced to this fun little app called SharePoint, and my life has never been the same. So I have been involved with Microsoft applications for a very long time. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, which basically means that I know a lot about Microsoft applications, and they have told me that I know enough to be able to teach other people. I have a BSAC certification for my BA and a Six Sigma Black Belt as well. One of the cool things about this is even though we're not all together, you could still do some cool things that you would normally do at a conference, like maybe putting in and winning some stuff. So if you want to put in for the raffle, all you have to do is go to this link. Oops, go to this link, visit the vendor booth, right? The virtual vendor booth. Watch the videos, submit your answers, and if you have 5 correct answers, you can submit, and you might win one of 3 Oculus Quests. They're going to give away one in each of the major areas for this conference. Another really exciting thing about this is that we want to donate to help those around us. So you might consider donating to some of the following charities. Here's the link for United Way and International Medical Corp. 10% of the funds from the sponsors for this particular event are going to go to support community relief as well. If you want more information, you can email the email at the top, which is info@m365virtualmarathon.com. All right, so the first thing that people ask me is how does all this work together, and what's the difference between Teams and SharePoint and Office and all of those other things? So I kind of put together this basic graphic to explain it. So we talk about Office 365, we talk about applications, and what Microsoft has done is they've created this thing called an Office 365 group, and it allows you to give permissions to somebody to have access to things. So the Office 365 group allows you to add people to it. You can put your friends in there, and anybody that's in that group can all do the same thing. Like, maybe they want to have a shared email inbox, maybe they want to have a shared calendar, maybe they want to be able to all get the same information. So by putting them in that group, they have access to that. Maybe on top of that, we want to share our files. And so that group now also has access to a SharePoint team site, and that happens automatically by creating that group. There's this new application called Planner. And so if you want to do some task management, maybe your group wants to be able to manage some tasks for different people. And so you get a planner that goes with that as well. And there's also another new app called Stream, which allows you to record your videos, store your videos, and share your videos, kind of like YouTube. So the cool thing is now I've got this Office 365 group, I've got people in it, and those people can share these different Microsoft Office 365 applications. So where does Teams come in? So what Teams is Teams is an application. It's very similar to kind of a browser feel. And what happens is it lays on top of that group. So it joins the team to the group. So anybody that's in the group is in the team. Anybody that's in the team is in the group. And basically they become best friends for life. In addition, that team also says, hey, since you're in the group, I'm going to be able to access stuff through Teams so that I can see it. So I want to be able to see my files from SharePoint and Teams. I want to be able to see my plans in Teams. I want to be able to see my stream in Teams. So you can see that Teams simply lays over the top of all of this Office 365 application that's already there. All right, so Teams at its very core functionality is just an application. The different thing about Teams is that it was actually designed what we call mobile first, meaning that they developed the mobile application and designed it to work on mobile devices prior to being able to work on your computer. The really cool part to this is that no matter where you use it, it's going to have a very similar feel. So everything kind of works together. There's 3 different ways that you can use Teams. There is an installed application that you can install on your computer, and it's called a client application or an installed application that lives on your computer that you can use. That's probably the one that you're using because that's what most people use. But in addition, there's also a web application that you can access from your browser so that if you're not on your computer, you can actually access it pretty easily and you don't have to have that client application to get to it. Also, there's a mobile application, and the mobile application allows you to access Teams from your phone. A little hint, I highly recommend that you set up the tabs and things that you want people to see in the client application first. And then from the Teams mobile application, it's really easy to access it while you're not on your computer. So first you have to sign in. Teams uses your Microsoft login. So whether that's your work login, your school login, or your personal login, you're simply going to just give them your email address and your password for whatever Microsoft login that you're wanting to use to log in. If you're in Windows, you can simply go to the search bar at the bottom and type in Teams. If you're on a Mac, you can go to the Applications folder and click on your Microsoft Teams application. If you're in any web browser, you can simply go to office.com. All you have to do is type in www.office.com. It'll ask you to log in, and you can log in there and click on the Teams icon, or if you're already logged in, you can click on office.com and select Teams from your applications. Another way, if you forget all of that, is to go to teams.microsoft.com, and it will open up in any browser. Like I said, there is a mobile app. If you've downloaded it, you should just be able to either click the Teams icon on your phone, or you should be able to search for Teams and it will pop up. And most mobile devices should have that application. Once you've logged in with your Microsoft username and password, Teams should just work and you should be there and have access to it. So here's a few different things that people do with Teams at a basic level. I'll walk through some of these. I've got this PowerPoint deck. It'll be posted out with the rest of them. So I'll put this out there for you just so that you can reference it, because I'm sure that once we're done today, you're going to go back and be like, I remember Sharon telling me this, but I don't remember exactly what it is. Never fear, you can go back and reference this. But about halfway through, I will switch over and give a demo as well, and all of that is recorded. So first and foremost, what do we do? Well, some of the stuff that got replaced was Skype functionality. So some of you guys have switched over to Teams from Skype and you use Skype to chat with other people. Well, guess what? Teams can do the same thing. In fact, this is probably the primary thing that I see people doing with Teams is to use the chat functionality. So to be able to chat with somebody in Teams, all you have to do is decide who you want to talk to. So do you want to talk to an individual person? If so, at the very top is a little box with a pencil by the search bar. If you click that, it'll open a new chat and you can pick whoever you want to talk to. You can also chat with an entire team, and that's called a conversation. And all you have to do is pick the team or channel that you want to talk to and click on the conversation and start entering your chat, and you can send it. I'll show you a few tips and tricks once we get over to the demo about some of the cool things you can do with chat. All right, so one of the cool things that you can do with chat is you can @mention people and it will actually alert them. So like it says here, an @mention is kind of like a tap on the shoulder. It's a way to get somebody's attention. So what you can do is you can type the @ symbol just like you do in social media. I'm sure you guys have done this on Facebook or Twitter, or maybe even LinkedIn. All you have to do is click the @ symbol, start typing the first few letters of their name. If you don't get it on the first letter or two, keep typing the letters. Sometimes it takes a few letters for it to pop up. But once you've been typing their person's name in, it'll actually pop up and it'll look like it does right here. You can select the person that you want to mention. And when you mention them in your chat or conversation, they will get an alert that says, hey, somebody was talking about you. You should go look at this. There's also a few things you can do with this when I show you how to filter and kind of go back and look at your history. If somebody mentions you, it's a little easier to find things. You can mention as many people as you want, so you can mention one or more person. You just have to click that @mention and type in their name. All right. Sometimes you're talking to people and you need to actually share information with them more than just a chat, more than just text. So there's a lot of different options now. You can actually share files directly. You can share them from other teams. You can share them from your OneDrive, or you can upload them directly from your computer. You can also share GIFs, and you can share emoticons, and you can share videos. All you have to do is on that little box that's on the bottom when you're typing your text, click on the icon that corresponds with what it is you're wanting to share, and then it should pop up a menu of things that you can do from that particular button. Teams notifications is a lot like when you're in Outlook and you're looking at your inbox. So if you want to know kind of what's going on and you want to know what people are sending you, or maybe they're talking about something that you care about, you can go to notifications and it's at the top left corner. So I kind of liken it to being in your Outlook inbox, because you know how you click on the top left corner to go to your inbox and you can see what's important. It's the same thing in Teams. Click on the top left corner, you're going to click on activity. And all your notifications are going to pop up right there. So if somebody's mentioned you, or if somebody's posted something in a channel that you're following, or if somebody has commented on something that you've tagged and are following, then you can look in your information in this activity feed and you can see what's going on. There's a filter icon there. If you click on the filter icon, you can choose what it is that you want to see. In addition, where the feed notification is, you can click that drop down and you can look at things that other people are talking about, or you can look at things that you have been doing. If you switch that from feed to my activity, you can see your own activity in Teams. And I'll show you how that works in a demo in a few minutes. All right, so here's another photo of the activity center. You can click the feed, you can change that to my activity. There you go. So Teams and channels, everything in Teams is super organized. I love things being organized. This is one of the big things in SharePoint, is everybody wanted sites and subsites and folders and lists and libraries with views so that we can find things, right? So Teams is automatically organized. What happens is you have a team, remember it's one-on-one to an Office 365 group, and that team is basically a collection of people, and those people share content. So they want to see all their files in the same place. They want to see all their conversations in the same place. Maybe they want to see references out to specific websites or to specific documents, or maybe they want to share a planner. The team is a place where everybody kind of goes to look at one thing. So think about it as a topic or a department or a project where all the same people are sharing information amongst each other. A channel allows you to specify something within that topic. So for example, if we have a general team that's talking about a specific topic, but then we want to subtopic that, we want to narrow it down to specific committees or groups, or maybe even have an administrative area, we can use channels for that. The only thing to remember is that you have to be in the team to be in the channel. You can't have one-off. So you can't have a person that's not in the team have access to a channel. What you can do is you can have public and private channels. Just remember when you make them, whatever you set up at the beginning is how they are forever. So it's either public or private out of the gate, and you can't switch that back and forth in a channel. In a team, you can switch it back and forth between public and private, but not in a channel. So inside of the channel, we can put specific information where people want to go to find something that's not necessarily a general topic, and I'll show you more of that in the demo as well. So I'll show you how to create a channel. On the team, there's a ... and when you click on that ... it gives you a menu. And one of the options is for you to create new channels right within the team. You can also manage your team from that same ... You're going to see a whole menu of options that you have, depending on what access you have. Inside of the team, you can be an owner or a member or a guest. A guest can be a member, but a guest can never be an owner. So you'll see what those people are. And if you're an owner, you'll get a few more options on this menu bar than if you're a guest or a member. So owners have a couple of options to be able to manage the team in a way that a member can't. One of the neatest things that I like about Teams is that if you click on the Files tab on the left, you can also access your own personal OneDrive files along with other types of files, which I'll show you here in a minute in the demo. But basically, it's that left icon that says Files. Once you click on that, you can see that your OneDrive is there. You don't have all of the functionality that you have in OneDrive, but it's really handy if you're just looking for a quick file or you're trying to find something and you don't want to go open OneDrive. You don't want to go look for it. You can just get it right there in Teams. So here's a few resources I want to give you before I switch over to the demo. So one of the handiest things that I found is if you just type in support.office.com, you can go to training. On the banner, there's actually a training icon, and you can click on training. And training will take you to a lot of little snippet videos and files and things like that about every Microsoft Office 365 application, and Teams is one of those. So if you click on support.office.com and go to training, tons of free training right there available to any of you guys after this is over. Another thing that I like to point out to people is there's a cool thing called user voice. If you go to microsoftteams.uservoice.com, you can actually be part of the product. So as the product team works on this, they look to people like you to find out what features you need in Teams. And you can go in there and you can say, hey, I think it should be able to do this. And a lot of times other people have already thought of that as well. And if they have, there's an entry for it. You can vote on whatever you want to be new features in Teams. If the product team has already made it or they're working on it, there will be a little comment under that feature telling you what the product team is doing, which allows you to stay in the loop. So make sure to go to microsoftteams.uservoice.com and be part of building the product. All right, I'm going to pull up my browser. And remember I said all you have to do, if you're logged in, you can just go to office.com. If you're not logged in, it'll ask you to sign in. And you'll get right here where all of your apps are, over here on the left and right here. And one of those icons is Teams. If you couldn't find it, you could always search on your computer for it as well. But if you're in the browser, this is pretty quick and easy just to go to office.com and select the Teams icon right here. So I've got a nice development tenant here that I keep a lot of fun stuff in so I can show people how Teams works. So remember the first thing we talked about was chat? Well, it looks like Jonathan has messaged me on chat. And he has sent me not only a chat, but a little image so that I can look at this and I can see a cute little GIF. I can respond to him just like I was in any other chat. If I hover over it, much like on your social media apps, I can like it, I can love it. I can laugh at it, right? I've got all these different options. Also be careful because there's a lot of extra hidden features in Teams that a lot of people don't realize. So there's these options, but notice that there's a little ... as well. So a lot of people don't realize that the dot 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 has extra things. One of my favorite little hidden features is the save this message feature, because sometimes there's a ton of messages and I want to remember this one specifically. So I can actually save this message and it's going to put it in my saved messages. And if I want to look for that message later, all I have to do is click up here on my initials or my icon, and there's a whole list of saved items right here. So similar to other applications you might have used in the past. And then I can go find that later. So we're going to leave that there and I'll go look for it later. If I wanted to chat with a new person, I can simply go up here and click on my new chat icon. And it's going to start a new chat. And I could pick people to chat with. I could pick one or I can pick more. And notice how it brings me up multiple people that I can select from. One of the things to remember is that when you're in a chat, if it's you and one other person, then Teams considers that a private chat, meaning that they will keep your history separate from other people. So if I continue talking to Jonathan over here in this private chat, it will keep it private. If I want to add another person to this chat, I'm going to add a person. If I want to add her to this chat, notice that what will happen is it will actually create a separate chat window that does not include this private chat. That's because Teams is nice and figures you guys have this private chat going on. Just because you added another person doesn't mean you want to share all that information. The difference is once I have a group chat going on, if I've got more than one person, then Teams considers that a group chat. If it's a group chat, then I can share that information with other people if I want to. So once again, up here at the top right, there's this teeny tiny thing that says I can add people. It shows me who's already in the conversation. I can add additional people or I can leave it. So let's say I want to add Rachel to this conversation. Oh, look, it gives me options. So I can say I don't want her to see any of the chat history that's happened up till now. I only want to include the chat history for a certain number of days. Maybe I want to catch her up on a conversation we've been having over the last 24 hours. Or maybe I just want to give her access to everything. So if it's an individual or a personal chat and I add people, it will stay personal and create a new group chat. If I'm in an existing group chat and I want to add another person, it's going to give me options of how much I want to share with a new person. I think that's a pretty neat feature. All right. Another thing is much like on your phone, if I'm already talking to somebody and have an existing chat, like you can see, I can just simply go to that previous chat and I can start talking. Now this gets pretty long because we talk to a lot of people and eventually those chats will roll off, kind of like they do on your phone. So if I want to talk to somebody, I can simply click on my new chat. Maybe I want to talk to Jonathan and I don't know where that chat history is. Check it out. When I start talking to him, it will automatically populate with the history that we already have and it will bring it up and it will be the exact same chat history. Another thing that happens is when you share information within your chat windows, it gets saved. So if I go back to this chat history between me and Jonathan, notice that not only do we have a tab for chat up here at the top, but we also have a tab for files as well. All of those files that have been shared in chat are stored right here. So you have easy access to them. Actually where they live is in OneDrive. So if you need to find them, you can always go to your own OneDrive to find them, but they're easily accessible right here in the chat history by clicking on files. All right, so now we want to know if anybody's been talking about us or if there's anything interesting that's going on. So remember, just like your inbox in Outlook, we click on the top left to find out the activity that's been going on. So notice that I've got a little red bubble that has a 1 on it, much like your inbox. And it says, hey, there's one thing that you need to check out. And it's got that little red bubble so I know to look. If I click on my activity, it will say somebody has mentioned you. So you can see that that's happened recently. Notice that it shows the date and time that those people have interacted with you. So you can see how old it is, whether it's within the last few days, whether it's in the last 10 minutes. So you can take a look at that. And then if I click on it, it'll actually highlight down here and tell me there's that little red bubble. You've been mentioned in this post. So if I hover over it, it says you were mentioned. And there's a question in here that I need to respond to. So he wants to know if we get a bonus if we bike to work every day. So all I have to do to respond to him is if I click the little reply right underneath it, I can say, yes, you will get the bonus of being a healthier person. Right? I can put emoticons in here. If I wanted to, I could also maybe say I want to add a healthy GIF. And I can look for one that makes the most sense. Oh, here we go. Stay healthy. All right. See how that works all right there inside of that. I can add whatever makes the most sense. And don't forget, see, there's those 3 little dots that don't include in all the primary ones. Check it out. There's even more stuff that you can do in here. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and send this message. And what will happen is if he has alerts turned on for his responses, he will see that. Otherwise, he'll just simply go and look at it and find it, and he will be able to see that response. So notice that it took me to a totally different place. I am no longer in our chat window. That's because this is inside of a team and inside of a channel. So if I look up here, it says Jonathan looked at this, but also it tells me right underneath that this is the team and this is the channel that he commented in. I think this is super helpful. You can actually look down your feed and see where those things came from. So if I look at this one, it was within a chat with Jonathan. This one was within a team and the cycling channel. This one was in a team and a chat cycling channel. So what happens when I click on these particular notifications is that it takes me to that team or channel where that comment happened, and it will highlight it for me. So if I click on it, notice this all turns yellow, and that's because he responded to it. And so now I can look at it and know that that's what happened. I'm going to go back out so you can kind of see how this works. So over here on the left, we've talked about this activity feed. I can look at everybody else's information. I can look at what I've done, or I can narrow this down if I wanted to search. Maybe I want to find something specific. It'll search within those activity feed comments. I can look at my chat icons there, which we already kind of looked at. Now let's look at teams, which is the core of all of this. So remember we talked about teams is the same as an office group, right? They're connected together at the hip. They're BFFs. They have their necklaces. So if I click on teams, you can see all the teams that I have. And notice that because the last place I was in that corporate challenge cycling, that's where it shows me to be. So once you've clicked on it, it's going to remember it. But now I want to go back out to teams because I can't remember where I was in relation to everything else. So this one right here at the top says corporate challenge. This is a team. And everything underneath, remember we said is a channel. If I hover over the team and I go to the ... I have options. And based on whether I'm an owner or a member, I'll have different options. But from here, I can do things like manage the team membership, add another channel, add a member directly. Maybe I don't want to be part of the team, so I can leave it. Maybe I want to get a link to this team. And then there's a brand new feature called Manage Tags where I can actually add tags with specific people identified. So maybe if I want to talk about cycling across all of this team, I could create a tag called cycling. And the people who are interested in that might be Jonathan and Lee because they've expressed interest in cycling before. So now if I mention the tag cycling, it will automatically notify these people because I know that they're going to be interested in that particular piece of information. I have to be within the team to do that too, just to remember. So any of these channels are going to be a little bit different. So this general channel is the first channel that's born with every team. So think of the general channel kind of as the ground floor of an apartment building. It's where everybody can hang out. Maybe you have a community center there. Maybe you have a couch there. Maybe you have a TV that everybody shares, right? So if you think about it, that is kind of like your primary first floor that everybody shares. That's the general channel that comes with any teams. Inside of that general channel, I can do a couple of different things. So notice that there's this first tab right up here next to general that says posts. This is where we can have a conversation about anything in this particular team, right? So anybody across the team will see this. Anybody can participate in it. And it's just a general discussion along the topic of whatever the team is. So we can converse in here. We can also share files that are general in nature. So anything maybe about corporate challenge. So we can see that I've already got some items in here that people could have access to if they wanted to. They could download it directly from here. They could open it in SharePoint if they wanted to, but more importantly, it's just files that are shared for this particular team. One of the neat things in Teams as well is you can add tabs to this up here, and notice that I've got some other tabs. So I've added a website right here that people could access, which is not working at the moment, but let's try reloading this. Nope. So this is the website for our Kansas City Corporate Challenge. That way, if people wanted to go see more information about Corporate Challenge, they could find it right here. I've also posted this file that was in here. So maybe people want to find out what options do I have in Corporate Challenge and what things can I sign up for, and check it out. It opens it right here in Word. And so people can look at it, they can read it, they can download it, they can edit it if necessary. But if maybe I want to add another thing that people can find easily, all you have to do is click on this little plus right here. When you hover over it, it will say add a tab. And then you can pick the applications that make the most sense to add. So maybe I want to share a Word doc, maybe I want to share a website, but the really neat thing is the people in this team are going to be able to find it. So on top of that, not only do we have our Microsoft friendly applications, but if you keep scrolling down, there's stuff that's not Microsoft oriented. So maybe we want to share things from GitHub. Maybe we have a Box account for an external company that we work with that we want to be able to share. Maybe we have a Trello board that we want to use. Notice that there's all kinds of fun things in here that we can share. Maybe we have a YouTube video that we want people to be able to look at. And so we can share that on our tab, and all you have to do is click on it. Now, one thing to remember, if it is a sign-in app, meaning you have to have a subscription for it, you still have to sign into that with your subscription. You can't just add it and then it'll automatically pop up. But if it's something like a website or YouTube where you want to share a specific video, you can do that pretty easily. So notice how many options we have, and there's even more than this. So all I have to do is pick what I want to add. So remember, it's right here on the banner. Whatever the channel name is where you're going to be sharing it. And then if you just go across, there's a little plus, and see, it's just like in your browser. I can open another tab in here and it'll stay sticky so that when people come into this channel, they can find that information. Now, let's say I want to look at another channel. So remember, we've got this Word doc and a website and our conversation. Check it out. If I switch to bowling, there's a completely different conversation, completely different files, and none of those tabs that we had, because this is a different topic. It's the same people, the same team that are sharing that information, but a different topic underneath it. Maybe if we go look at cycling, we'll notice that there's some conversation that's happening. There's some additional files. Somebody's been really interested in this particular area and added more things, right? So I've got files in here. Maybe there's info about the cycling group that they want to remember to do. People in here are interested in the Tour de France because they're cyclists, and so they want to know kind of what's going on. There's a meetup video that they've created so that people can see what's going on in that particular group, right? So all kinds of fun stuff that you can share. So all they have to do is go to the cycling channel, and now they can see the information that is relevant to that particular group of people and that particular information.
Hey Sharon, sorry to interrupt. There are a couple of questions in the Q&A.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Your screen is kind of blurry. So what I'll do is probably move your video out and share the full content. If that's okay with you?
Yep, let's give it a shot.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, let us know, guys, if it's still blurry. We'll take the video out and see if that helps at all. If not, I can stop sharing and reshare.
Okay, I've done that. So most of you should be seeing only the content now and not
Hopefully that'll
Sharon's
help.
video. Yes.
All right, so I'll go ahead and move on, and if you guys just let me know.
Yeah. Thanks, Sharon.
Yep, no problem. All right, so we've got our teams, we've got our channels, and remember we talked about the fact that we can do public or private channels, and sometimes it's hard to know which is public and which is private and what it already is. So if you click on the channel itself up here on the top right, there's a little eyeball, and if you hover over that, it will say channel content is. In this case, it's accessible to everyone in the organization, meaning that it's a public channel. Notice down here, another way you can know, if you hover over it, you see this little lock. And remember, if we click on it and we go to the eyeball and we hover over it, it should say it's private. Well, there's a little lock on it, so we know that it's private. Interesting. So another way is when you make the channel. So we're going to click on making a channel in here. I want to add a channel. When I pull this up, you're going to give it a name, and then down here, see it says privacy. I can pick if it's standard, meaning everybody on the team has access to it, or I want to make it private, only accessible to a specific group of people, and then I can manage who has access to that particular channel. So within this channel, because it's private, notice that I can manage the channel and I can decide who has access. And in this case, I'm the only person who has access. Whereas for the rest of the team, let's see if we want to add anybody else. Let's see it. He already exists, so he's already there. So in here, there's only me, even though he's on the team. So this can be private to specific people, but they have to be people within the team. So let's say I wanted to add somebody to this team, but they're not in the team. Okay, so who's in this team? Just me and Jonathan. So I want to go back to this private channel and I want to add somebody who's not in the team. So Rachel's not in it. Notice that she won't come up because she's not already a member of the team. You have to be a member of the team to join a private channel. All right. The other things down here we haven't covered yet. So this is teams and channels. We've talked about chat. That's kind of the most famous part. If you click on this calendar icon, one of the things that people ask me is they can only see their own calendar. As of now, what this does is it will show you what is on your personal calendar. So whatever you see in Outlook, whatever you see in Outlook.com is going to be what's on this calendar. You can only see your calendar. But what you can do is you can create meetings directly from Teams. So if I go into this calendar, the features that are up here at the top is I can start a private meeting right now. There are a few features that are a little different if I do a join now versus a new meeting that's scheduled, but I can actually click on this meet now and it will allow me to start a meeting and then I can add people to it. Another option is I can schedule a meeting or a live event directly from Teams. So if I schedule the meeting from Teams, there's a couple of cool features that you can do in here. So first of all, I can decide what I want to do. So let's say we want to call this a cycling meetup for our cycling people. I can decide who's coming. And I know that Jonathan wants to come and I know that Lee wants to come, but I'm not sure who else might be interested. So one of the neat things that I can do is I can actually add a channel to this meeting directly in Teams. So maybe I want to add the cycling channel. So I will send an individual invitation to the two people I know are interested, but I'm also going to post this in the cycling channel in case they want to find out more information. So I can put this in here. This will automatically create a Teams meeting, even though it doesn't say it, because you're in Teams. So once I do this and I send it out, it will add it to my calendar right here. And then I'll show you what it looks like in the channel as well. So it'll send it to the people that I've sent it out to. It'll add it to my calendar. Now let's go back to that cycling channel. Here's what's really neat. Check it out. It actually sent the invitation to the channel itself. So if anybody wanted to join this meeting, they could simply go to the channel, click on the channel, and it would open up that meeting right from there, and they could join directly from there. So it's kind of a neat little feature where you can make it in here, and then it will just pop it directly into the channel. So I can go back to my calendar, and there you go. I can see that this is on my calendar, and I could join it directly from there. Honestly, I tend to use this a lot because if you have a meeting that's scheduled and it's going, you can actually click the join now from right here. So I'm going to schedule another meeting. We're going to back it up a little bit. So let's say that it's already in progress. We're going to add it to, notice how I can search for that as well, because there gets to be a lot of teams. I want to add it to the bowling team. I don't know who's interested, so I'm not going to add anybody extra. So let's go check our channel. And sure enough, there it is. There's the meeting. But check out what happens if it's already in progress. It puts this little join button right here, and I use this all the time because while it's not a big deal to click on it and click the join button, who doesn't want to save a couple of steps in the day? So if you create your meetings and then you go to your Teams calendar or your Outlook calendar, when this meeting is actually in progress, there's a join button right here, and it will actually start the meeting directly from the Teams calendar. Super cool new feature. All right, so there's also this calls icon, which basically allows you to have a contact book, and you can call people directly from here on the phone. I don't know if you've got an IP, voice over IP system that's set up, this is a little easier, but you can also call people directly from the chat. So just remember, I can go directly to the person I was chatting with, and up here at the top, I could call them on audio or I could call them on video directly from my chat as well, depending on how your configuration is set up. Uh-oh, Jonathan's asked us a question. Can you add an external user to a team or chat? I'd like to add my Gmail to the corporate challenge team to get alerts. So that's a big question that people ask me. Can you add an external user? If your admin for your tenant has allowed you to use external users, then yes, you can. If your admin has not allowed you to use external users, then you can't. So the way to know that is just go ahead and try. If you want to add a user, you can go to that particular team or channel, and I want to add somebody to this team. And if you say, I want to add my Gmail, if you're allowed to add guests, it will pop up and say, do you want to add this user as a guest? If it says I can't find it, then you're out of luck and you'll need to talk to your admin about adding guest users that are not on your network. So this is set up with your administrators for your Office 365 admin, but it's a really quick and easy way to test it out. All you got to do is type it in, and if it says add this user as a guest, you can, and if it doesn't, then you can't. All right, remember I told you that little nifty trick about going to files? Down here on the left-hand side at the very bottom is this files icon. So check it out. There's my OneDrive right there. And I can find things in my OneDrive. Also, remember I told you that the Teams chat files are stored here as well. So there's my folder for my chat files that have been shared, that I've shared out to other people. So you're not going to find the ones that have been shared with you here. You're only going to find the ones that have been shared out from you, because this is where Microsoft Teams stores the things that you share in chat with other people. So you'll be able to find it there. You can also add things to OneDrive directly right here. You can download things from here, or you can open the full OneDrive application directly from here. Another neat thing is maybe you have a Google Drive or maybe you have a Dropbox and you want to be able to access everything in Teams, not just your OneDrive. Down here at the bottom, there's an Add Cloud Storage option. And I can simply select my Google Drive right here. And all you have to do is log in and it will share those things right there in Teams and you'll be able to access them just like your OneDrive. It's pretty nifty. You can find it all in one place. You can also do this in your Teams channels as well, or in your team files as well. So if I go back to maybe my corporate challenge, and maybe the local corporate challenge group is using a Google Drive to share their files out and I want to be able to access it, I can click right here on my Files tab, and there's an Add Cloud Storage option, and I can select that as well. All right, I've gone over most of my tips and tricks. We've got about 5 minutes left. If anybody has any specific questions, we can go ahead and pull those up.
Yes, there are a couple of questions in the Q&A section, Sharon.
Okay.
Okay, let me pick some questions. Can Teams talk to Skype users yet?
Yes. So the question is, can Teams talk to Skype users? And yes, that is a setting in Office 365 administration. So you have to go to the Teams admin panel, and there's an option for upgrade. And inside the upgrade administration, your administrator can allow Teams and Skype users to collaborate with each other.
Okay. Can you mention somebody not on the team? I don't think you can.
Well, let's find out. I'm pretty sure you can. So let's say in this team, because we know there's only a few people in this team, that I want to go in here. There you go. Because it's a private team, it only allows you to mention the people that are in the team.
Right. How do you add an email from Outlook? That's a question.
How do you add an email from Outlook into Teams?
Yes.
Is that the question?
Yes.
So the question is, how do you add an email from Outlook? So there's a separate inbox in your Outlook that goes with the group that's associated with the team, depending on how you set it up. So if I go back to my applications and I pop open Outlook, notice that down here under groups, let's see. I don't think I set these up in Outlook, but what you can do is you can find them in here. And then depending on how your stuff is set up, there is a new button that's coming out where you can actually send this to Teams, but I don't see it in here yet. Here we go. Nope. In the meantime, what you can do is you can use these inbox groups, but you just can't see them because I don't have them set up in here. They'll be right here under groups, and you'll be able to look at the items that are joined to that group that are joined to that team. And you might have a button that you can move it to Teams. Some people do and some people don't.
Okay. Is it possible to delete a message sent or the whole conversation or chat?
So if we're in a chat and you have sent a message, all you have to do is hover over it and there's a little ... And if it's your message, you can delete it, but if it's somebody else's, you can't. So see, this is mine. I have a delete option, but if it's not my message, then I don't have an option. They would have to delete it themselves.
Right. Okay. Is there a way of adding a tab as a default to all Teams channels or chats?
Can you say that one more time?
Is there a way of adding a tab as a default to all Teams channels or chats?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. The
Default
question is there a way to default a tab to all teams? There are some new options for creating a team template, and you could do it that way. It's brand new, still rolling out, but that's coming soon. Another way is you could copy a team from another team. And to do that, when you create your new team at the very, very bottom, we didn't really walk through this, but to create a new team, there's a join or create team down here. You can create team. There's a build from scratch. There's also a create from team, and it'll copy the app settings and channels. None of the content, but the app settings and channels. There's some pros and cons to doing it that way.
Okay, that's great. Elena asks, can we share our video and presentation together?
Can we work on a presentation together in Teams? Is that the question?
Can we share our video and presentation together?
Can you share your video and presentation together? Yes. So if you want to share your video and presentation at the same time, you need to use what's called a Teams live meeting, which is what we're using now. So in your calendar, if you go to the calendar icon and you have this new meeting, when you do the drop down, you would need to use a live event to be able to do that, to share your video and your content at the same time. If you want to just share your video and content in a Teams meeting, it's a little trickier. You can see it, but you can see everybody's video at the same time at the bottom.
Okay. So Mark asks, can you please explain the relationship between Teams membership and SharePoint access?
Yeah, so back to our PowerPoint. Let's see if I can pull this up. So if we go back to our PowerPoint at the very, very beginning, this is a big question, guys. Everybody asks this, and this is why I bring it up at the very beginning. So the Office 365 group is the permissions group that is joined with the team. And this also is used for the SharePoint team site that goes with it. So when we are in Teams, the files that are shared actually live on the SharePoint site, and the persons that are in the Office 365 group have access to that SharePoint team site and have access to the files. That's the first layer. That's the easiest way to do it. In addition, if you want to do SharePoint unique permissions, you can do unique permissions, but what's going to happen is it's going to be in addition to this Office 365 group, and you're going to manage SharePoint completely separately from your Office 365 group. So if I go into my team and I go to files, here's my files that live in here. I can click on open in SharePoint, and I can see that I have this site. And right here at the top, I can see the members that have access to the site, and this is the group membership. And it's a much longer conversation to talk about SharePoint permissions separate from this, but whatever is that Office 365 group membership will automatically be shared with the SharePoint site that stores the files for that particular team.
Okay. We have a couple of questions. So Danny asks, what are the backup options for Teams? Is there anything that can back up a whole team that will restore it back to Teams after it has been deleted completely? So in general, backup options for a team, right?
Yeah, so the questions around backup options for the team. So the team conversation and chat history is stored in Exchange. The file history is stored in SharePoint, and pretty much everything is stored in applications that you're accessing. So all your file management is going to be backed up in SharePoint, and you're going to use a SharePoint backup tool for that. If you're going to store your Teams history in Exchange, then you're going to be backing up your Exchange history. If you want to store backup Teams as a whole, I know that's a new emerging topic that's coming out. So I'd suggest you keep watching for what's going to happen for that. But for right now, I would just make sure that your Exchange and your SharePoint stuff is getting backed up. I think we're going to run out of time here. And I know we've got another speaker that's coming. If you guys have any other questions, I'm going to pull up let's see. So if you want to provide speaker feedback and event feedback, it's right here. All you have to do is go to these bit.lys or put it on your phone. Once again, follow me on Twitter, Sharon E. Weaver. If you have questions, send them to sweaver@smarter-consulting.com or find me on LinkedIn or find me on Twitter and send me a message, and I'll be happy to answer as much as I can. Thanks.